one of the reasons I'm cutting her off is because we're having two different conversations, and I don't want to spend time on two different conversations. So you can't even agree or disagree if you're having different conversations. So her conversation is centered around her personal experiences with Africans. My conversation, I think that's secondary to the big theme of what is the problem of Black people, descendants of Africa around the world, because we have the same enemy, the same problem, the same coin on different sides. And how tragic is that one coin, see, a coin is one thing, but but one has tails and one has heads. How tragic is that if the tails and the heads are fighting, but the person who created the problem is not even being discussed? I don't want to discuss personal experience. There's a lot of bad things that African people have done, individuals, and there's a lot of badass things that Black Americans have done right there in the hood that I grew up in. So we're not safe in our own neighborhoods because of us. And we do have a lot of problems in the Black American community. That is a fact. It's not our fault, but it's our problem. And I'm not about talking about faults. I want to talk about problems, because that gets to the solutions. If I get scammed by 5 Africans, and Lance, you made this point earlier about guys and girls. So I'll just use that just since it's a clean analogy. If the last 5 guys I dated beat me, stole from me, or whatever, yeah, I can go out and talk about that. It's probably better to do that in therapy. But if conversation about males and females, then that particular experience is not relevant to that conversation, because we need to discuss, is this just a personal thing that I experienced, or let's talk about the broader male female. So I guarantee just as many quote Africans have scammed you or had an attitude with you. That's all valid. And I'm agreeing with you. I agree with the sister on that. But I'm not having that conversation, because that's majoring in the minors. And when a lot of Black people, I've been guilty of it too. And so majoring in the minors is not going to get you nowhere. And what does majoring in the minors mean? It means you're focusing on the person that don't even have the power to change your life. These Africans that come here, even if they had a bad experience or when you had they can't change your life. They can't give you a job or take a job away from you. I'm talking about collectively when I speak of this. They don't impact your life, but there's a greater enemy here who is slavery is not history. Colonization is not history. It's present. Of course, it's past history, but it's happening now. It's not something like the H word with another group of people that they went through that in the 40s, and now they've come through and they're on the upswing and they're at the top. We are still even lower than we were, arguably speaking, back then, but it's just in a different form. It's not by law, but it's all kind of redlining. It's all kind of other things. This needs to be the conversation. What is the cause and what is the solution? And the solution is unification. You cannot live as an individual. If no Africans ever came to this country, and I'll conclude with this part of the thing, if no Africans, first generation Africans now ever came to this country, you still would be in the same boat you're in right now as an African American. So that's the major that you need to focus on, major on the majors. What is your problem here in America as a Black person? It's not Africans. That's not really your problem. That's secondary. That's just a symptom. But we need to deal. So I don't want to have a conversation about the symptoms. It's a waste of time to talk about symptoms. We need to talk about the cause, and then we can discuss if we agree or disagree on that. That's really the discussion, not the symptoms of, you got scammed yesterday, and probably so did I by an African. That's not really, that's not going to get us anywhere.
It will, because first of all, you say we have a common enemy. We do, but we also have these people who hate Black Americans as enemies as well. And so why entertain them at all? Why even try to pull them into our, diaspora, but they have intentionally alienated us from themselves, even though they're here. Somebody told them something, they was like, yeah, you know what, they blah, 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 blah. Even though they come from somewhere that got dirt roads and all kinds, just poverty and violence. But they think that our poverty and violence is
who is this somebody?
It is, ma'am.
No, who is this? No, you said somebody. Who's the somebody?
The somebody for what do you mean?
You said somebody told them. Who is that?
Yeah, white people, I don't understand. Why do you keep asking me the same question I just answered?
Because whenever you mention them, you don't mention their name. You say general comments like somebody, but when you talk about Africans,
I did. However, I'm not telling you. Apparently, I'm not answering the way you want me to. So you want to keep grilling me on something instead of letting me finish. And so I agree with you. They are a minor issue that we do not need to concern ourselves with. We don't need to concern ourselves with people who don't want to get down with us. So if they don't want to get down with us, kick rocks. Don't do what you're going to do. And you can do whatever you want to do in our country. That's fine. But we're going to go about black people business. And black people business can get done. And the solution to black people's business and for us to be treated as an economic power, for us to be treated as with political power, it's for us to start our own businesses. And so that's really important. And we need to start our own businesses. We also need our own banks to prevent predatory lending. We also need our own schools to prevent classroom to prison pipeline. We need male teachers in there. We need black hospitals. We need hospitals of black women die more in childbirth here in this country.
We already had all that. We already had all that. And who destroyed it? Who destroyed it?
Do you bank black? Ma'am, do you bank black?
No, I don't bank black.
Do you work for a black person?
No, I don't.
Okay. Do you work at a black place? Oh, right. See, that's the problem.
Do what?
That's the problem.
No,
that's the problem. We don't have black businesses that create black jobs. I said that's the problem is we don't have our own.
Have you heard about those? Have you heard about the banks that we had? Have you heard about the red money? Who destroyed? We had all this. Do you know about the 60s? I don't know how old you are.
Oklahoma got bombed and then they built it back up. They built it back up and it went on for 45 years after that. And all you got to do is look at Atlanta, Maryland, and DC. There's black businesses. Man, we have enough money to start black businesses right now. And so the thing is, what's going to happen is like what happened to the black farmers that the USDA, they gave them bad seeds. They intentionally made them fail. And what did that, you saw that purpose come down on that black man? Can I finish? The black man, I'll forget his name. I wish I knew his name. But that black man who was the face for the farmers, the black farmers in America, you saw that purpose descend down on his shoulders. You saw it. And you saw him focus on the problem. He persevered and then they won. And so now we can get black farmers to create black food for black people. Hopefully. I'm sure you're going to sell to everybody. But the thing is, it's going to be hard. But we got to do it anyway. They might tear it down, build it back up. And so y'all just be like, see what they did? Well, now is a different time. And so we got to do it again. That was like 100 years ago when y'all was talking about Tulsa, Oklahoma and all this stuff they did in Rosewood and stuff. Yeah, it happened. It sucked. But we have to do it again.
Over 100 years ago, the court case was last month and they got denied it. That was last month, sister. That was last month.
That's why we need black.
That was last month, sister. That was last month.
We have black communities. I live in a predominantly black and Hispanic neighborhood. I live in a predominantly black and Hispanic community. And I can go down the street. I can go down the street. I can go down the street. I can go right down the street within about 7 minutes of my house and go to 4 Hispanic grocery stores. I can go to 4 Hispanic grocery stores. Can I go to a black grocery store in my neighborhood? No.
And let me just interject something on that. And I don't want to talk over anybody, but sister, you spoke about we need to have our black hospitals. I agree.
Yep.
You spoke about we need to have our black schools. I agree.
Yep.
We need to have the black pharmacies. We need to have black youth centers. We need to have black libraries. Of course, if it's a library, anybody can come. But how long has it been since the civil rights movement? Where do we lose momentum and why? Do you know about Memorandum?
No.
Read it. Memorandum 46 right now is in effect. And as long as we're rolling around in the dirt, we'll never get anywhere. You stated that we can go to any, or you can go to any Hispanic, Latino store. Look, they may have their issues, and we're talking about other races also, Indians from India, different people that come to America. And it hurts me not to see that we have those things, because we were here first. We built the, but see, I have a wider view. I'm an American, but I was treated like an outsider by many because my father was Jamaican, right? And he did as much work as any American with his own business. So I was teased on one side and embraced by the other. I would stay silent when one side in public talked about the other, and vice versa. And see, the enemy fears global unity. Yes, Memorandum 46 is on my website. I'm going to drop the link. I'm not trying to talk down to anybody. I understand your pain. It's frustrating, but we cannot adopt looking at other people from other countries who are black like us. Some say we're indigenous and we've been there. I'm not going to argue with that, because we're the original of the planet. And we know that I am here in Africa right now. I'm loving it. I don't have a need to come back over there. I'm just as American as anybody else. And it's not like I'm some 2-bit person who don't even have 2 decades in my life. I'm 61 years old as a strong black man who's always talked this way. I caught hell on jobs, in schools, in public. I'm the original Rodney King. All right, I've been beat down by 11 police officers and still live to tell about it. Anything that you can think of. But we got to stop throwing off on each. We may feel as though we are closer to the slave master and he convinced us that his. If we had unity and saw each other as one, we would not have these issues. So we still have to deal. There are Africans in Africa here who see me as an outsider. There's some who embrace me. You can't throw away the whole vehicle because it has a knock and it stalls a little bit with the check engine light. You got to take it to the mechanic, lift up the hood, and correct the issues.
Throwing off on black people from other parts of the world, it's just like black people in the hood who are part of gangs who throw off on other people who are wearing different colors. It's no different. It's one big globe. We're all one. But for some reason, we just always seem, those who call themselves Americans, they always seem to want to feel a little superior than those from Africa, the Caribbean, wherever else black people come from. In recent years, there's been a growing sentiment of resentment among some black Americans toward black immigrants from Africa, the Caribbean, and other regions where black people reside. This animosity, though not representative of the entire black American population, is a disturbing trend that reflects deeper issues within the community. This discussion will explore these sentiments, their origins, and the pressing need for unity among black people globally. Many black Americans who harbor negative feelings toward black immigrants often believe that as descendants of enslaved Africans who built America, they have a superior claim to the country. Black immigrants as Johnny-come-latelys who have no right to influence the social, political, or economic landscape of the United States. This perception of superiority is rooted in the belief that black Americans, having endured centuries of oppression, have earned a unique status in American society. This sense of superiority is deeply flawed. While it is true that black Americans have played a critical role in building the United States, this does not justify the exclusion or the marginalization of black immigrants. Instead of seeing black immigrants as competitors or threats, black Americans should view them as allies in the ongoing struggle for equality and justice. The resentment toward black immigrants is often fueled by disappointment in the American dream, a dream that has failed to materialize for many black Americans. Despite the promises of freedom, opportunity, and prosperity, systemic racism and economic inequality have left many black Americans feeling disillusioned and betrayed as they watch immigrants of other races receive federal subsidies, handouts, and they begin to see black immigrants as undeserving beneficiaries of a system that has failed them. This disappointment, however, should not be directed at black immigrants. Instead, it should be channeled into critical examination of the American system and a renewed commitment to building strong, self-sufficient black communities. The lack of unity and infrastructure within the black American community is not the fault of black immigrants, but a reflection of deeper internal challenges that must be addressed. Another aspect of this resentment is the ignorance some black Americans have about Africa, the Caribbean, and other black majority regions. Many believe that these places are primitive, underdeveloped, and disease-ridden, with no modern luxuries or advanced societies. This misconception is not only false, but also harmful, as it perpetuates a narrow and demeaning view of the global black experience. Africa, for example, is a continent rich in resources, culture, and history. The challenges it faces today, such as poverty, political instability, and underdevelopment, are largely the result of colonization and the ongoing exploitation of its resources by foreign powers. These powers have not only stripped Africa of its wealth, but has also fueled internal conflicts to maintain control over the continent's riches. The same can be said for many Caribbean nations, which continue to grapple with the legacy of colonization and economic exploitation. The division between black Americans and black immigrants is a symptom of a larger issue, the lack of unity within the global black community. For decades, black Americans have called for their own schools, hospitals, banks, and other institutions. Yet these goals have not been fully realized. Meanwhile, other racial and ethnic groups have established thriving communities and economies in the United States. This lack of unity and progress is not the fault of black immigrants, but a reflection of internal disunity and the failure to build strong, self-reliant communities. To move forward, black Americans must take accountability for their own progress and work to foster unity with black people worldwide. To understand the roots of this disunity, it is essential to consider the external forces that have sought to keep black people divided. One such force is the U.S. government's Memorandum 46. Yes, Memorandum 46. Remember that or Google it. I'll also have it as a link to my website in the bottom of this video. A document drafted in 1978 during the Carter administration, this memorandum outlines strategies to prevent the unity of African Americans and African nations, fearing that such a union could challenge U.S. interests in Africa and globally. It explicitly calls for measures to prevent the development of a strong relationship between African Americans and African nations, including the use of disinformation, propaganda, and other tactics to sow division. This strategy of divide and conquer has been used for centuries to weaken black communities and prevent collective progress. By keeping black Americans and black immigrants divided, those in power can maintain control and continue to exploit both groups. Let me give you 10 reasons for the lack of unity among black Americans. Number 1, internalized racism. Decades of systemic racism have led to internalized beliefs of inferiority, resulting in self-hatred and division. Number 2, lack of economic power. The absence of strong black-owned businesses and financial institutions has weakened the community's economic base. Number 3, cultural fragmentation. The diversity within the black community, while a strength, can also lead to misunderstandings and division if not embraced. Number 4, political disunity. Differing political ideologies and affiliations have often divided the community instead of uniting it around common goals. Number 5, failure to build institutions. Despite calls for self-sufficiency, the community has not consistently invested in creating its own schools, hospitals, and other essential institutions. Number 6, distrust of leadership. A history of betrayal and manipulation by leaders, both black and white, has led to widespread distrust within the community. Number 7, media influence. The media's portrayal of black people as divided, violent, or incompetent contributes to internal divisions. Number 8, generational gaps. Differences in values and experiences between older and younger generations create friction and misunderstandings. Number 9, geographical separation. Black Americans are spread across a vast and diverse country, leading to regional differences and a lack of cohesion. Number 10, external manipulation. Governments and other entities have actively worked to prevent black unity through strategies like Memorandum 46. Now we have 10 steps toward global black unity. Number 1, foster a deep understanding of global black history, culture, and struggles to build solidarity. Number 2, cultural exchange. Encourage travel, exchange programs, and partnerships between black communities across the world. Number 3, economic collaboration. Invest in black-owned businesses and support trade and investment between African, Caribbean, and black American communities. Number 4, political alliances. Build political coalitions that represent the interests of black people globally. Number 5, media representation. Create and support media outlets that portray a positive and united image of black people worldwide. Number 6, grassroots movements. Strengthen grassroots organizations that work toward black unity and self-reliance. Number 7, intergenerational dialogue. Encourage conversations between different generations to build gaps and build mutual respect. Number 8, spiritual connection. Reconnect with African spiritual traditions and practices that emphasize community and unity. Number 9, community building. Focus on building strong, self-sufficient black communities with a shared vision for the future. Number 10, accountability. Hold ourselves and each other accountable for fostering unity and addressing internal divisions. The resentment that some black Americans feel toward black immigrants is not rooted in the actions of those immigrants, but in deeper internal issues within the black American community. This division is a reflection of the failure to build unity, economic power, and self-sufficiency over decades. To move forward, black Americans must recognize the importance of global black unity and work to bridge the divides that have been fostered by external forces and internal struggles. Only through unity can the global black community achieve the progress and prosperity it deserves. Lancescurv signing off. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave your comments and always go to Lancescurv.com for the other work that we do that you will not see on these social media platforms because it's just too hot. Much love. Thanks for coming by. Peace.
Lancescurv.com. Bold, raw, and uncut.
I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I'm tryna do more for the soul, way less for the bread. Yes sir. I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I see the things that they do way less than they say. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Can't be a real, might get you canceled. The whole system need to dismantle. Coppers treated like the utmost wanted. Tryna rule the block but don't know what goes on it. News got a story with a new take on me. Carrying out the window with the screw face on me. But I know that God love me when my burn 95 degrees and I can't get sunburn. Wonder when your government don't make me legal. Burn the whole city if I can't be equal. Get off my please, Brad, I earned that. 400 years, how you still ain't learned that? I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I'm tryna do more for the soul, way less for the bread. Yes sir, I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I see the things that they do way less than they say. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Shout out to the trying to gentrify the genre. Tell them free my middle finger to your honor. End of days coming down to seconds on the timer. Goofy still trying to purchase that designer. About to buy, learn to grow my own food. Cause I don't like the look they give me in the Whole Foods. And when you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready. But it ain't on me now, I'm limping cause my heavy. But ain't sweet, think we thin. My whole attitude on MC Ren. It's my neighborhood now, Bob, I bought that. 400 years, how you still ain't caught that? I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I'm tryna do more for the soul, way less for the bread. Yes sir, I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I see the things that they do way less than they say. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on